What I thought to do is just give you a quick run through on the 10 rules, and I'll break them down into separate sections, just a couple of minutes on each. When you're looking at the 10 rules in negotiation, the first thing that you have to be aware of, and I know it can be seem a bit of a cheat, but rule number 1 in everyone's view on negotiation is don't negotiate. And again, that's where the cheat comes from. There's only 10 rules, and rule number 1 is don't negotiate. What it says is, if you're selling, get the value proposition identified and sell to the value. Sell to the customer's problem, solve the problem, and then ask for the money. No negotiation needed. If you're buying, it's the other side of the coin. What you just do is you work out how much you want to spend, what the value to you is, and then tell the supplier how much you want to spend. No negotiation. They can make their own decision. And that's rule number 1. Don't negotiate unless you need to. Rule number 2 in negotiation is quite a careful one. Rule number 2 is never negotiate with yourself. Everyone has a tendency to lose a bit of confidence when they do go into a negotiation. They're thinking, how much can I get away with? What's the other guy thinking? What should I really be making as an offer? Well, the first thing you do is, if you're selling, lead with your list price. Don't negotiate with yourself, and don't try and round down your offer to make it appear a bit more acceptable to the other party. If you're buying, again, don't negotiate with yourself. Set a figure that you want to spend, might be within your budget, or just might be an expectation. And don't change from it. Go straight on, make that. If you have to make it as a first offer, make it that way. If not, hold back, but don't negotiate with yourself. That's rule number 2. Now, rule number 3 is never, ever, 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 ever accept the first offer. 2 reasons. First one is, if you're working with someone who is an instinctive negotiator, they will be keeping something holding back. So the first offer won't be the best one for you. The second reason is, if you're dealing with a professional negotiator, they're not going to try and break rule number 2. So they won't be negotiating with themselves already. So the view here is, when you actually see someone make an offer put on the table, there's always a better one behind it. Not necessarily lower money, but a better offer can always be made. So rule number 3, never, ever, ever accept the first offer. Now, rule number 4 can sometimes be a bit confusing, because rule number 4 is never make the first offer if you can avoid it. The point about this is that if the other guy makes his first offer, he's not going to try and break rule number 2, but you're not going to break rule number 3 and accept it anyway. So